Okay, I will start the November 8th, 2023 meeting of the Yarmouth Community Preservation Committee by reading the following. This is to formally advise that as required by General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16th, 2021, as extended by Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, the Yarmouth Community Preservation Committee will hold a public meeting at the date and time noted. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided. Gary?
Okay. So being four past, we'll call the meeting to order. I have to do the roll call vote. So Judy, are you still muted?
Here, nope, I am here, present.
Okay, Judy. Marianne Walsh.
Present.
Paul Huggins present.
Christine Lazigliano present.
George.
George Schlama present.
Lee Hamilton present.
Joanne Crowley present.
Gary Ellis present. So that being done, we're going to go right ahead into our first discussion. So DNR had asked if they could go first because they have a 3:30 meeting. So I agreed with that. That is the town waste to water. So David, we got an update from you guys. And I don't know if you want to discuss that or anything, or anybody has any questions of them. I think, well, you know what we're doing with this. So why don't you just explain the update, David?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you for having us and adjusting the agenda. So you know how things go. Bill is at physical therapy with the shoulder, and I got a personal thing I got to tend to here in a few minutes. So thank you for that. So yep, as you noted, we turned in a updated budget request or application, really at the request of the CPC committee. We initially had asked for the funding for the townway assessment. And in that proposal, it included a optional interactive GIS based map of all the townways to water. So theoretically, with that optional map, anyone can go on the town website, click on the map, and hover over each town way. It'll tell them, you know, what the amenities are, what you can and can't do there, maybe the condition of each one. Really, the outcome of the assessment would be at everybody's fingertips in real time and able to be updated by the town as things, you know, change. And it just would be a great, you know, platform to get the information about the town ways out to the public. So I believe when Bill was at the meeting with you guys last time, you had asked him just to follow up with town IT to make sure that that was something the town IT department could host without a problem. So we did that. We met with Paul Chaffee, director of IT, and Bruce Barrow, the GIS coordinator for the town, and the consultant who prepared the quote and their GIS coordinator. Long story short, it sounds like the consultant will create this package, and just when it's done and we're satisfied with it, would turn it right over to the town, and the town's current GIS platform that they use for other stuff would just accept the data, and it'd be very minimal on the town IT department to just host it. There'd be no cost to the town. Any future updates down the road is something we could update in-house and not have to go back to the consultant for. It would just be Bruce doing that in the current GIS program. So yeah, that's the basic. We asked for the additional funding for that optional component, but the rest of it, I believe, is pretty well in line with what you guys sort of steered us to request. And again, we thank you for your input and your support so far. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
You don't have our support quite yet. We have to vote
For your
on
support so far. I think I said so far.
All right, so I'm just going to go. Anybody have any questions about this?
I'm sorry, what I'm looking at in this copy here, the budget, the request is still 180. That's changed?
No, it's 180, right?
That is the change.
It was previously 155.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
Now it's 180 to
Okay.
include the map.
Okay.
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Hey, George, you have
Thanks. This looks good. David, one of the things that we talked about was looking at adding a contingency to the budget. And we talked about 10% contingency just in case, come in higher than anticipated. So something.
I don't think they were here for this part of the discussion.
Oh, okay.
So we're telling them that's what we'd like to recommend, if you understand what we're doing, David. Because as you go through this, when they go through the analysis, they may find some other components, landings, where we might ask additional information from as we go. So we're trying to give you the luxury of being able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think
that's why we talked about the 10%. So it would still be at 180 is what we're still shooting for. But we're gonna give you the option of up to adding another 10% to that. And then those requests would be, you'd let us know that we're gonna ask that the consultant wants this much more to get this information. So we're
Sure,
trying
I
to
think-
build.
sorry, I think that sounds like a great plan. I mean, the original 155 we asked for didn't really have a whole lot of sleeve based on the two quotes that we did get. The only built-in cushion that we had now was for the optional map they quoted or estimated between 15 and 25,000. That's why we upped it by the full 25, just in case it is in fact that much. But that's true. We didn't ask for a whole lot of a buffer. And if the committee recommends that we ask for a touch more, then by all means, that would be a great safety net.
So I just want, because they weren't here for. So anything else, George?
No, I'm good. Thank you, David.
Lee?
No questions, thank you.
Thanks for coming, David. A couple of questions. One, the supplemental request for 25,000. I know you said you had a range from an estimate. I mean, how squishy is that?
To be honest, I don't know. I think some of that's going to depend on. I'm sorry, that's the reason I came home early. Sorry, the dog's barking in the background. Hey, my goodness. Sorry. Sorry about that. She doesn't understand that I'm on a Zoom. All she knows is she doesn't feel good and can't wait to go to the vet in a few minutes here. So I don't know, to be quite honest. I think the consultant was pretty. I think it's going to depend on, as they start compiling the data, how much we want to be forward facing to the public. And I think that's where that $15,000 to $25,000 range really comes into play.
Are you thinking it would be a single consultant who would do all the work? Or would there be two separate contracts, one that would be more technically oriented for this amendment, if you will?
Well, I think our general thought is it'd be one consultant. One of the quotes that we received was one consultant doing the whole thing. That's from the site visits to some preliminary engineering for 3 of the sites, all the way to the GIS map. So I think in a perfect world, we would anticipate one consultant would do the whole thing. I suppose when we try and get real hard numbers, there's a chance another consultant could present that. But again, we would ideally one-stop shop for everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Christine?
I have no further questions. I think it's a very complete application. Appreciate, your work, and I really have no other additional questions.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, I just have one question, and if you don't have a quick answer, it's okay. I haven't thought of this before. You have identified a number of town ways to water, put them on the map that was included with the packet. Is there any possibility in the survey that additional town ways would be found? Are there any out there that possibly areas that belong to the town that might be discovered?
That is absolutely a possibility. And without, getting too far ahead of ourselves, I think I've already identified on my own at least 1 or 2.
Excellent.
So I think, to be quite honest, there's one spot that you look it up on the town assessor database. It says Town of Yarmouth. I looked up the deed. It shows it was conveyed to the Town of Yarmouth in care of the Conservation Commission. And you drive by and there's a fence that says private property, keep out. So I'm not a I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that one doesn't add up.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank
So
you.
yeah, I anticipate there'll be a couple, and I think the sleeve would cover that, and I think that would also affect the GIS mapping as well, that, you know, if they find too many that we need to include beyond the 30, whatever we identified, that would help.
Great, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Good question, Paul. Mary Ann?
No, all set.
Okay, so the only comment I would have is, you know, this is it's a public meeting. So we said between 15 and 25. The reason I hate doing that is obviously whoever the consultant be, they're gonna see that we set up to 25. So we have to put the burden on you, that just because we said up to 25, that doesn't mean you have to use it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's being a town employee 101 is just because if the money
Right.
is available, it doesn't mean that we can't turn some back. We totally get that.
All right, well, we're gonna count on you to look out for that for us.
You got
So,
it.
based on that, I guess somebody can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $198,000 for town wastewater assessment application,
Up to,
up to 198. That includes the 10% contingency.
Second,
motion by Christine, seconded by Paul. All in favor, any discussion on the motion? If not, we can take a vote call on that. Judy,
Aye.
Mary Ann,
Aye.
Paul,
hi.
Christine,
Aye.
George? Aye. Lee?
Aye.
Joanne?
Aye.
Gary? Aye. So, good job, guys, looking forward to getting this done, so.
All right.
Do you have to
Thank you very much.
Identify?
Just a quick question on identifying which funds. Who would we
We don't have
allocate?
to let
We don't
them
have
know.
to do
We
that
usually decide that at
At
the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
because that's totally up to us. Okay, thanks, Dave. Good luck at the
All right.
vet.
All right, again, thank you very much. And sorry for my blurry background and walking around the backyard, but again, we appreciate your support and thank you again.
We understand. Thanks. All right. What do we want to do?
What do you want to
Usually
do
we do,
next?
The trust.
yeah,
Trust? Yeah,
usually we
that's-
try and do the easiest ones, and anyone that there's gonna be more questions on, we hold them to the end.
So I would suggest the trust next. Deposit number 18
So,
for 200,000.
any discussion on that, comments, questions on the Affordable Housing Trust for the 200,000?
This is the annual allocation.
Yep, which is less than usual. All right,
What did you say, less than?
it's less than, normally every year it's been 280.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So, there are no comments, can I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve. Application
For the 200,000,
for the 200,000.
second,
Second.
seconded by
Joanne.
Joanne,
Joanne B. Christine. All right, so she gets it second.
sorry.
No problem. All right, so now I'll take a vote on the housing. Judy,
Aye.
Mary Ann,
Aye.
Paul,
Hi.
Christine,
Aye.
George. Aye. Lee,
Aye.
Joanne. Gary, aye.
Okay, that's.
First two were,
And conservation invasive. That was Brittany's.
no, so that's the Fridays management, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments, questions, or anything on that? No. You have my note added to that, that it's open space and recreation. That doesn't mean we decide today. If we take anything else away.
Yeah, they have matching funds that it's almost evenly matched, which is good, and
Yes.
it's for a 3-year project. We need it for.
They have to be 3 years.
Right.
Okay, so somebody want to make a motion? George, you have a question?
No, motion.
Okay.
Make motion that we accept the proposal as submitted up to $77,000.
No, it's 37.
37.
Yes,
They wouldn't mind.
30.
They'll take it, but.
Okay.
There's more pragmatics.
All right, motion by George, seconded by Christine. Voice vote again, Judy,
Aye.
Mary Ann. Paul,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Joanne,
Aye.
Gary, aye.
Okay. Then we'll do the Friends of Bass River Crow Pond. Which is. Also.
Right. That's the Friends with Bass River.
Friends of Bass River. Run Pond or Kroll Pond, however you know it.
Any discussion, comments, questions? If not, we can.
I have one question as to, Mr. Chairman, you've suggested in the past that sometimes we have conditions on some of these things.
Yes,
I had a question in the packet that we looked at. There were other funding locations that they were going, that Friends of Bass River were going to look at, and there were specific dates associated with them. I would like to make sure that we make sure that those applications are made.
Okay.
Because one was due on October 1st, as indicated in the application. Another one has already been submitted, we're told, to the Pond Foundation. And then one to the Eastern Bank Foundation would be made next year, in January. So his list, or their list of other funding, I'd like to make sure that we get maybe a report back. I'm not sure, is that the appropriate thing? We'd want to hear back from them.
well, I think we'd want a copy of the application and when they submitted it.
Okay.
For our record.
And all of that might happen well before the town meeting, when we're in front of the Board of Selectmen. Timing.
Yeah,
might be
but we,
just right.
we can condition the approval today if they get it on, we have to have that.
So that would be my,
So
That
I
would
mean,
be
we
my
can get up to the
suggestion.
point with the town meeting. He didn't do it. And he has to be aware of that. In other words, we can get to town meeting floor and say they didn't meet the conditions and with the art.
right. Well, my concern is that they don't know that rule now. So we're gonna approve a condition that they don't know that we're suggesting.
Okay,
And there may be some hurdle that they now are aware of, or that becomes a hurdle to where they can't. I would hate for this proposal to get hung up on a condition that they can't meet because of something technical. So
So
that's
maybe
my,
it's a status report on additional funding applications.
how,
you just,
whatever.
if that happens, they have to let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know other way of doing it. If that happens, they need to notify.
I mean, they indicated that, you know, dates applied, and so there seems to me to be a commitment there, but so I'm
Well,
on
it's
both
more-
sides of this. One, I want them to follow their commitment, and two, I don't want them to get put in a bad place because of a technicality that they could not apply or for whatever reason. So maybe status report, Donnelly, is a good suggestion on language. A report out of some kind.
Yeah,
to us on
because then if they
funding.
say, oh, we just didn't submit it, then you
Well,
can
that's
make a
the condition,
decision.
then we withdraw it. I mean, that's our condition. Pretty simple. They have to do it. Now, if they, for some reason, they can't apply, they let us know and then we can say, okay, we understand why.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question. If I may, the budget says the application is 2175, and that's what it says in the budget. But on the cover page for the application is 217875.
Yeah, the numbers don't correspond.
The budget
Yeah.
gives the total amount of the budget and the subtotal, which is the request is 2175, which is what you have in the budget. but their front page in their application says 217,875. There's a discrepancy.
I think it should be 17875.
It's not what's reflected in their budget.
And this-
It's changed.
The cover sheet's wrong because on their listing, it's 217,500, which is what Dawn had,
Should be 217,500.
217,500.
And we'll make that part of the motion.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody understand that? Any more questions? Not, then we can hear a motion on this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Funds River Pond Restoration Project, Phase 1. CTA funding request in the amount of 217,500. Up to 217,500.
We want part of the motion with the conditions that the applicant apply for the other grants and give us a status report on that as it goes.
So be it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Christine, seconded by Joanne. Judy still here, take a voice.
I am.
vote.
Aye.
Okay. Mary Ann,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
George, aye, Lee,
Aye.
Joanne.
Aye.
Gary, aye.
And that brings us up to the pool.
Okay. That's the only one we have left.
To vote on, right, because the
Yeah.
Wild Rose Terrace application, we're waiting on the appraisal. Any ETA? No, they had said 4 weeks. 4 weeks. When I asked, I
So,
gave the directive like 2 days after we.
so we keep that open.
Mhm. And right, the adult shared living has been referred really over to the trust. Right, it's
So
deferred.
we still keeping the application open.
That's what you want to do? I mean, it's your
Okay.
choice.
Not entirely up to me. I would suggest we do. I don't like to close them out until,
Yeah, because if they come back with the entire application, being a not-for-profit, we can proceed on it.
yeah. I don't care if we carry it to next year. There's no reason.
Yeah.
You can reapply. You know where it is.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what were we just talking about?
The adult shared living application, if you recall that one.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a little bit not
Yeah.
complete.
Got a few questions on that, but he knows about.
And I think he's gonna continue to try to work with the Affordable Housing Trust and get where he
Right,
needs to be.
Right.
And the Chase Brook Park Master Plan was rescinded. Well, and you left it open.
Is open.
Okay. Yeah, hold open. And the Baxter Grist Mill,
That's
It's
open. We're
still
trying to
open.
Address the budget on.
yep. So yeah, that leaves the community pool.
So it's open for discussion. Anybody want to discuss any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that, I'm in favor of this proposal, but I do think one of the conditions we would need from Carolyn is a 501c3 status, that in fact, the First Light Herring, becomes a nonprofit. I think that would be very helpful to us.
Which most definitely would have to happen before town meeting.
We understand you have a sponsor now, and that's important, but I do believe that we would need to have a group that we're going to be dealing with and not a third party.
Well, if not, accounting's gonna kick it back.
Yeah, right.
Right, right.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions, comments, or make a motion? Anybody?
And I'm just gonna like make note that everybody's aware because this is how a project becomes a town project. A town department must take ownership of it. And then it has to go to the capital budget committee, finance committee, board of selectmen, and become part of the capital improvement plan. So at the moment, there is no town department that's really taking ownership of it. So
Well, I think that's still part of the question. Is this a town project or not?
I guess I just wanted to ask John Marie, the process that you just acknowledged is certainly not what the splash pad did. Is that correct?
no, but that was,
That was a town
that went
project.
through,
That was totally a town project.
right, recreation and DPW.
Right.
They
but it could
owned
cross-
it.
They actually applied.
But it could cross from more than one department,
There was a town sponsor for that one, and it was the Department of Public Works
right?
who oversaw kind of the whole project. I think that the big question is kind of where this is like a conceptual idea at this point. We don't know, I don't know where it might be, what town resources could be involved. We heard from the consultant, I think at the last meeting,
Right.
you know, of examples where there were committees, where there was town staff involved. That's an example of where town resources are being used. And so staff time is a resource as well. We want to make sure that the town, kind of capital T, is on board. And that's where kind of on the application, I don't know that there was kind of the authorization from the town administrator on that. I think that you're still continuing to work with the recreation department. I don't know if this is something they want to take on, that they can, you know, kind of rally as sponsor in a way as the town departments. So,
Like it basically comes down to like who is the applicant?
Yep.
So like when we did the splash pad, it was DPW, Jeff. He actually applied for the entire thing and actually the money went through him and he built it out. There was no doubt.
Town project.
Could I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Sure. It got to that point in some fashion. So what's the difference between this project and the beginnings of that project?
I think,
It was-
and I'm speaking for Jeff, he's across the room.
Yeah.
That was a selectman priority,
Okay, so
the splash pad itself.
therefore, if this, so you said something about going to the selectmen.
Mhm.
So that would be the
Board.
Right,
select board,
Right.
that would be a starting place
well,
to,
it
to talk them into supporting it as they supported the splashback.
could be
Is that
one.
correct? Yeah,
Well, that's an option that they would have to sponsor and it becomes.
Yeah,
a
as they
town.
did with the splashback.
Right.
So.
But I think that, sorry to interrupt, Carolyn, but I think the project we're talking about here is one where we want to find out if the townspeople are interested in this. That's it.
Oh, the
We're
application.
not building anything.
Well,
We're not
the
going to-
point is, we'd be
And it-
expediting taxpayers' funds. And the town has to either be on board with this, or then it becomes a private project. Which is it?
What was,
I respectfully disagree that it has to be one or the other. A public
It could
or
be
a
a
private.
combination.
It could be a combination where, although our select board might be the smartest people in the room, there are others in our community who have been out there in a grassroots effort, trying to do the right thing here by bringing forward an idea from the bottom to bring it to the top. Not everything that's important for the town of Yarmouth has to come from the top down, or even from within the walls of this room, of this building. In fact, there are a lot of people in this town who are very passionate about various things that might be historic in nature, the Quaker Meeting House.
But the Quaker
As an example.
Meeting House, even that, they're a 501c.
I understand
We
that.
know exactly who the
Who
money's
you're
from.
dealing with. And and my suggestion is that we need to, make sure we know who we're dealing with
Right.
here. That this is a community-based interest to find out, gee, what do the people of Yarmouth think? Do we want this? If we all say no,
Then why wouldn't you go to
we say
town,
no.
town meeting on a petitioned article?
Well, that is another route.
That doesn't
It
cost-
certainly
did-
is another route.
that doesn't cost anything.
How did the select board find out that there was a desire in the town to have a splash pad?
That I was.
They brought it forward.
But it came from someplace.
It came from Tracy
Came-
Bowes.
Oh, yeah, but okay, but that's the thing.
A
That's,
person who was passionate about it.
Yeah.
so if this committee or this group buttonholes a select person, okay,
Select board
board person,
Member of
member,
this-
member.
okay, member. Usually I'm pretty good at that stuff, but I'm,
No, you missed the meeting last night.
yeah, I did.
I
I,
spoke on this.
oh my God, I wish I was there.
You were good.
It would be the same thing, wouldn't it? It would be if all of a sudden Mark Forrest or somebody else or Dorcas or somebody say, hey, listen, there's an interest in the town to have a pool. Wouldn't that be the same thing?
What they do is they bring it to the board and the board votes to bring it forward.
Yeah.
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 If you want to do that, I'm fine with it, but at least we know who we get. Right now, I just don't see that clear delineation of if we're dealing with the town or not. I haven't heard anything from any of the selectmen about, are they gonna go forward with this? Do they want to do this? And it doesn't have to come from them, but I don't want to be, ever since I've been on this board, we've always worked and figured out agreements with the selectmen in the interest of the taxpayer. I don't want to be us telling them that we want you to do this.
But
I don't want to be part of that.
What happens if a message goes to the select board that, hey, we had an application about a town pool? You people might be interested in looking into this with the people who are trying to develop it to potentially support it the way you did the splash pad or any other project, correct?
And let's go that route.
Yeah.
Christine?
I'm always concerned about our fiduciary responsibility. I have no doubt that every kid should learn how to swim. I mean, that's a given, right?
Yeah.
However, I don't even know who the applicant is here. And if we spend $100,000 on a feasibility study, and then the town doesn't want to do it, what is our responsibility back to the taxpayer that we spent $100,000? Right now, I can tell you that X number of people want a pool. That's a given. You can do a whole study, but the study's going to come back and say, yes, a certain number of people want a pool. But the process here is not complete yet. I mean, I don't even know who's going to pay for this. I haven't seen a financial statement that can cover the $100,000. If it's going to be subsequently built by the town administrator's signature has to be on this. Because they're going to build the pool based on the
I
feasibility
mean,
study.
she's right. If we,
This is step one, building the pool is step two. It's all related to each other.
suppose we approve the 100,000 and then we go back to the town and they don't want anything to do with it.
Well, could it be agreed to based on a contingency that the group receives the endorsement of the town,
Well, if.
Prior to town meeting.
whenever?
I
Well, it
would
would have to
I
be
would go to
consent.
the town with the town article. And if people at town meeting all raise their hand, yes, we want a pool, then you've got the pressure to go to the Board of
I
Selectmen.
get you.
It has
I-
to follow a logical order.
I just totally agree with Joanne that there are people out there that want things. We have somebody coming saying, we think we need this in the town. We have supporters. We had the precedent of the splash pad, which seemed to come out of as Gary said, one selectman's interest.
Select person.
And
Female, so.
one select board person's.
Okay.
And so I like to encourage consistency as far as that goes, and not do it differently each time. So if it's somehow, if it's premature to do this, then let's get some support, or I would recommend getting some support from the select board. And then moving forward from that.
Yeah, I'd like to get a letter from them saying we have some interest in town. A lot of people want to do it. Will you back this?
I mean, I would be in favor of just deferring that we did with natural resources and we've done with the veterans home, et cetera. Go back to the boards and come back to us with a complete application with their letters of support and signatures of support.
And did you feel we did that with the splash pad? Did we go through all those steps with the splash pad?
That was even more complex.
Okay.
It went-
Because I remember kind of all of a sudden being an issue.
Just to be clear too, I think and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, sorry. I think splash pad was spelled out explicitly in the Board of Selectmen goals that they generally adopt.
I just remember some confusion about that, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was in there a couple of times, so it was very clear that it was one of their goals, although it originated with one select person.
Right,
The full board endorsed it through their goals.
Yeah, each year they come out with a whole list of goals
Exactly.
for the year.
And
But
that
it
was,
didn't-
that
and
was
it-
on there for a couple of years.
Yes.
But it didn't completely align with the Recreation Commission's goals. That was part of the.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I remember.
But that's where the mediation came in and we worked it out by making
take
it
it
totally
back.
accessible to handicapped people. Then the recreation was on board with it.
Right,
So
right.
at the
You
time,
have to-
before we went out to bid and did it, everybody was on board.
It takes time to get all the ducks in a row.
Could I
Right.
just make a close, one more comment? With all respect, Christina, since the very beginning, I felt as though you perhaps you thought that this was moving too quickly or that it takes a certain amount of time to put ducks in a row. I agree with that and I respect that, and I am someone that trusts the process of things. This is an opportunity that we have annually to come to the Community Preservation Commission. And one of the missions of this group is to provide active recreation for our community. And your suggestion of just going to the town and asking, oh, it would not cost anything, that would not yield the same result as this complex study that we're asking to have a professional engagement with, that would be a physical, tangible thing that our town could have for any future project. So I just think,
Okay, it's not annual either. If
The
we just defer this for getting it in a more presentable order, it can go to either spring town meeting or fall town meeting,
to just defer that.
either town meeting.
Well, again, without being a town employee and without, to your point, without using any town resources to get it to this point, frankly, we've done the best job that we can to attempt to communicate to the community and to ask for those meetings with the select board persons. So I beg for your vote.
I want to just pick up on something Christine said, that I think you should take as a hopeful sign that we haven't, that we just approved the town wastewater project. That came in last year. And I'll use my own adjective. It was horrible. It was incomplete. It didn't have, we have an application package that things need to be filled in to for a reason, for legal reasons. And technically you don't exist yet. You don't exist yet. So it would be so helpful and it would strengthen your proposal and your position with us if you were if you were a thing, if you were a 501c nonprofit.
Right,
And had the
comment
paperwork
was well received,
and
but
had-
it's the timing issue. I can't.
It is.
it's-
I
it's the
understand.
Federal government moves.
I understand.
Sorry on that.
No, that's, I understood. I'm a retired bureaucrat. So the point that Christine makes though is that we may not be saying no, you're not yet ready. And it's hard for a committee like ours to move forward. And we said essentially no to the Town Waste to Water last year and said, come back and give us a complete proposal. And who you are is a really important part of this proposal. And if you get it in time for a cycle that we're in, that will be helpful. And getting members of the town administration on board, that would be also very helpful. So, as much as I really like this project and want it to go forward, which is why I expressed my support, Christine raises a good point and a good analogy with regard to our most recent one, the Town Waste to Water.
I think that you explained it really well. That's how I feel, my personal opinion. I'd like to see it, but I really would be nervous expending $100,000 of taxpayer money when we really don't know first, who's it going to?
If I may add,
Because I could say, I probably would like 6 batting cages down at the high school. And I can find people who want them, right? So I go and bring it forward and go, and then I'm just gonna have Jeff go build them. You can't go that much. Our number one priority is the guardian of the taxpayers' money. I look at this as if I'm a taxpayer, everybody here is, I want somebody looking out for that money before you spend it. And that is our number one job, and we've always done that. So we're looking for what Joanne's asking for. I don't think anybody here wants to vote no on your project, but we just want to have this complete.
But yeah, I guess it's honestly, because I thought that's why we did have a fiduciary sponsor, was that they were an established 501c3s.
But that's not you, Caroline. That's not
You
you.
cannot mix 501c3s. This happened with the Historical Society and the Friends of Ancient Cemetery. And the IRS said that if a 501c3 handles money for the other one, it could be construed as money laundering. I don't think.
That's not what the Cape
I'm not
Cod
a lawyer.
Foundation advised us.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA.
No, Coleman,
but
you're not.
I don't think the mixing of 501c3s is a good idea. We need to know who the applicant is.
may I please speak?
Speak.
I think you addressed in a way the bigger issue. If the town is, even if this is coming from a private entity, if the town is not on board and they study for $100,000, I don't care, experts or whatever, shows a need or not a need, then it's dead in the water. If it shows a need and the town is not on board, because this is going to end up with the town funding a pool,
Correct.
then it's again dead in the water. So when you say you believe everybody would be supportive of this, I am not at this point.
No, I'd say most,
I mean, we haven't.
I'm
taken
just
a vote
speaking,
yet, but-
I am not ready to vote no and kill this. That's what I'm not ready to do, because maybe you don't support it. Maybe I don't, maybe there's other people who don't, but I don't want to say no for the taxpayer. So they've had a choice to make a good decision on this. One way or the other, I don't see any way around this without the town getting on board with this. Unless you're gonna do it totally private, on private property with private construction companies. I don't see that happening.
That's valid.
I just want there to be, for this project or any project that comes before this committee, consistency in the town. It's easy to say, the town supports it, the board of select people support it. But to me, it's, well, how do they, or why do they support it? Did someone come forward? Did a committee come forward? Was there a survey done in the town? Was there some other collection of data saying we want a pool or a splash pad or a better town ways to water or whatever. Because sometimes it's easy just to say, well, you have to get the town board to come forward with it. So to me, there shouldn't be any arbitrary type of process here. So we have somebody, a group of people in the town who right now have an idea. And it's a good idea. Make sure that it goes through the proper channels and gets supported in the way that all other projects have been supported
And you'd be going the same
Yeah.
route as the Quaker Meeting House.
or
It
whatever.
was pretty
Yeah. So,
simple. It was done, they have a 501c. They're the ones who will be in charge of it. And it's gone, at least as far as schedule wise, you've proceeded quite well with that up to this point.
And it's to recognize historic building.
Yeah, the problem is not with the proposal. The problem is with getting a complete
I get it.
application with the proper support.
I just don't want anybody to be thwarted arbitrarily. Oh, no, that's not a good
I'm
idea.
not against
Mhm.
them.
Yeah,
I'm
no, no,
against
not by this.
it.
group of
I'm
people.
for
Not by this group of people,
having a
By-
complete application.
by maybe other entities of the town government, for example, you know.
George?
I think the important thing to keep in mind is fiduciary responsibility has many different levels, and I feel, and we've talked about it, the first one is who is applying? What's the organization? Do they have funding available? So I think, again, I agree, this has merit. However, it's not ready for prime time yet.
Okay. All right. So any more questions, comments, or anything? If not, I don't think it's ready to vote on the application.
You want to hold it open until?
I would
they're-
definitely hold it open.
Yeah,
Sponsorship.
absolutely. And hold it open until we get
Or until the 501c3 is established.
an amended
The
application. that's
501c
complete.
is established, even if the selectmen don't want to do it, I would be in favor of going forward with it. I don't like doing it that way because we've always worked with their goals, but I would think, you know, especially if there's a 501c, I would think they would support it. But we can't say, but we need to know who is the actual applicant, where the money's going, because our funds they're reimbursable. So in other words, you'd have to pay for this study ahead of time, and then we'd reimburse you. So you need to have that money up front.
We know that, we understand that, and it's in application, starting January 2024, we're looking to start a campaign for
Well,
this.
that's a little,
Yeah, but you don't have it.
we need it now.
I need the money,
We will.
but you don't have it.
Well,
now. That's-
anybody could come in here and say that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but I could come in here and go, oh, I'll get it for you next year.
My understanding was that if and when the distribution of the funds would happen when we paid, and I
It would
guess.
be
I'm
in- It
confused
would
also-
be in July.
Right, but I'm confused when you say, oh, we don't know where the money is going. I mean, we would submit an invoice to you after we paid our architect. So, I mean, I don't.
But you
I mean,
have to
that's
be
reasonable.
financially
That's not-
viable now. You have to be financially viable with the application.
So this is new information that I'm learning. You
So-
have the funds.
So we'd be going, okay, we gave these people 100,000 and they promised us that they would be viable by the time. you
Yeah,
would-
but there is,
No, I'm just saying, so the applicant so any other department, in other words, the submission for 200 or, any of these other amounts, those groups have that?
Every
Ready?
app-
Which one?
every application asks for.
but let me ask,
Financial
can I ask a
statement.
question?
The affordable housing certainly has.
No, on that point, it's, the money that we award is reimbursable, or that is voted on by the town.
It's,
So the project entity pays for the service to, let's say, a advisor or to an analyst, and then they're reimbursed.
Right.
Okay, so no money is given until they pay the money.
Yeah, but my point is, it goes back to like the drive-in. If we vote to give her the money now, we've tied up those funds
Okay,
for no reason because somebody, and again, I'm not trying to be rude, but because, well, they said they would be viable by Jan, but they're not now. So the minute we vote on it, those funds are tied up. We went through this with our own drive-in committee.
okay. Want to be clear on it.
I don't think any of us are clear on it,
I don't.
No, because it's.
George.
And just to be clear, I think it's important that the town administration weigh in on this. Is this something that would be part of the capital program
It would have
going
to potentially
forward?
be.
So, you know, I mean, we can say, yeah, we're gonna do a study, but if we don't know,
Right.
you know, if the town administrator approves this, if DPW approves this, or whoever. So it's not just saying you approve the money because people would like to do it. You know, the town has to do their due diligence looking forward. So
Yeah, because the
it's one
100,000,
domino, but it's an important one, and that's the town saying, yes, this is in our plan. And there's a placeholder for it.
in the perfect world, that's the way we did the splash pad. That's the way that should go, yes. I mean, the 100,000 is just a drop in the bucket compared to what you're gonna be spending down the road.
Well, at the same time, I'm sorry, I'm talking so much, but I would be interested in knowing in just for this as a test case almost, that if this is delayed, okay, and the applicant makes applications or does provides or enters into activities to get the support of the town. I'd like to know how those entreaties, whatever you want to call it, are made and how the progress is and what the cooperation is of the town.
Yeah.
If they go to recreation and say, gee, we brought this to recreation, and this is what recreation said.
Yeah.
You go to the board and said, this is what they said. You know, just like to have a little bit of more transparency so that we all know for future work. That when somebody comes before us like this, and we say, gee, you gotta go back to the drawing board in terms of the becoming the 501(c) and also trying to get the rest of the town on board. That this is the experience that others have had, and this is what you need to do, and this is usually the response.
There is a letter of support from the Recreation
Recreation.
Commission.
Oh, there, okay.
But the Recreation Commission is not able at this time to sponsor, to be the town sponsor of the project. They
You
don't
know
have the
what?
capacity,
The capacity.
the manpower and the finances.
Yeah, where the funds coming from? Where's the,
So-
where's the $5 or $6 million?
They
That's
support
interesting.
it, but they can't be the town sponsor.
Yeah,
Right?
that's kind of shaky.
This. Again, I feel like, well, it is the two-part, and we did submit the, the one-page thing for future,
Mhm.
whatever. That it could be potentially another CPT, CPC application getting to construct. But there's nothing to be said that this couldn't be like a joint project with a next door town to us, perhaps Dennis, perhaps Harwich. Perhaps let's work together to identify this regional need.
I don't disagree.
And our
I
community-
suggested that.
So the fact that we're tossing out numbers now of $5 or $6 million for our town is not accurate.
Well, it is. There's gonna be some money. It's unrealistic. It's like saying we're gonna put the sewers in down 28, but it's not gonna cost anything.
No, I'm just saying, and I mean, this is the very beginning, this is a new idea.
We think it's a great idea.
And I'm just not feeling that. I mean, honestly, it's difficult to,
Oh, you gotta remember where I'm coming from. I am to look out for the taxpayer's dollar. And at this point, to spend $100,000 of their money without knowing who it's going to, or having what we asked for on the application,
to the guy that's sitting on the Zoom call right now because he's invested in the project and cares about the proposal that it. I mean, I'm not.
Then do
so
it,
sure
then
I
do
follow.
it, then petition to town meeting for support, have him go and have them vote for it. Have them do that.
If we don't get this funding, we are looking to petition the town.
That's great.
I think
Okay.
that's what you should do.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose by it. Is Christine says it's not it's every 6 months. If it came up, you'd be back again in the fall.
I understand you're dedicated to this and you're feeling right now kind of perplexed. But I think you have to hear what we're suggesting and you have to understand it, even if you don't want to. Because
No, I
you're
don't,
talking about a lot of money down the road and we're saying you need a commitment. You need more than just saying you're gonna come up with the money. You need more. You need the town to support this if it should come to fruition, because it is gonna be a lot of money. And if you're thinking about having a joint thing, then that's something to work on.
And it could
That's
work
not
entirely in
reflected
your
the
benefit.
application.
I don't want the duration of this conversation to be simply because of my own passion. I think this has been a good conversation and a complex conversation, which frankly speaks to the interworkings of the town of Yarmouth.
Well, it's complicated, right, when you're spending taxpayer money. It is. I mean, the amount of time that has to be spent documenting every dollar is significant. And so that's why we have to make sure that it's all set
Right,
up
well, you're
from
gonna-
the beginning to be.
You're gonna get, a good percentage of taxpayers out there have no idea that we're even discussing a pool. So now we're gonna go to town meeting and go, well, we just spent $100,000 of your money to look into this, even though you didn't know it was coming. I don't like doing that.
Don't they have the opportunity to vote at the spring meeting? Isn't that?
They
the
could
point?
vote it down at town meeting,
So we're not necessarily spending it. We're proposing to.
but
them.
it's up to us to propose it, saying this is ready to go forward. That is our job. And I think you're hearing from us, we don't feel it is.
Fair enough.
And it's only, it'd be a stronger application at town meeting if all the i's are dotted and t's are
Yes.
crossed.
That's what I
Is-
was saying.
Even better, you brought up Dennis, you brought up Harwich. We have done things with the other CPCs, and that's a very strong position to take. So if some more work can be done organizationally, I mean, obviously, I'm very much in favor of this project, but I'm also in agreement with everybody. You have to have everything right so that we can then go to town meeting and make a recommendation for it. And the town meetings, I think, have been very giving, and I could see this down the road if all things are done correctly of passing. And getting the town boards on the page 2, the recreation committee, the DPW, everybody else. Because there have been some big projects that have been accomplished, and this could be one of them as well.
And just to cap things, I mean, last night at the town meeting, all of the articles that were presented, the select board is asked what they voted on, what the number was, the finance committee votes on. And so what we're saying is what we decide, if this goes forward, then it's got to go to the select board and they have to approve, and they depend on us to say, this is ready to go. And we're bumping up, to when articles have to be prepared and so forth. So it's a timing thing and it's a process.
Yeah, way before we get to town meeting, we go and meet with the selectmen and the finance board and go, these are our articles. These are the ones we're recommending to town meeting. And they vote whether to back it or not at town meeting, way before we get to town meeting. So I'd have a hard time going before, especially the finance board, with this the way it is.
So now I just need to kind of take a pause. Sometimes I'm a little bit slow. We've deliberated quite a bit, and the very first comment that Joanne made was it resonated with me. The establishment of a 501c3. Got it. I can understand that. The next things that we've discussed are a little bit unclear to me. The point that was raised by Christine, I disagree with. who the fiduciary sponsor should be. If it's considered commingling of funds to have another 501c3 be the fiduciary sponsor. That was what we were advised to do by the Cape Cod Foundation, who, by the way, we also reached out to be our fiduciary sponsor, who is the fiduciary sponsor for the Friends of Bass River. So I just need to make sure that I understand leaving this meeting what my homework assignments are.
I'll tell you that with the Friends of Bass River, they did use the Cape Cod Foundation, and it was, from an administrative point, extremely difficult to process.
Yes,
And it would be it would be my least favorite way to approach a project. Because it's very complicated, again, because you're passing taxpayer dollars
Right,
through
it's
all these
accounting,
different
Sure.
things,
That's
and it's,
what I-
so it adds many hours onto the administrative end of it, which again is when you're talking about the, town resources.
Okay, so again, I want to make sure that I'm understanding what exactly makes this application incomplete. So that, again, I can come back and say X, Y, and Z are done.
And I think
And that's not clear to me right now.
the other part of it with, that I noticed, I think Christine noticed too, the Cape Cod Orchestra,
Right,
they don't seem to have the kind of finances to pay for the study.
right. So that's another question that I just want to make sure of. It should be,
So
It
it
should
would
be
take a
like-
complicated process and make it probably a little bit more complicated if the foundation doesn't actually have the money.
well, we went
To
through
put up
that with
front.
Friends of Bass River.
Right, and I really would rather not do that.
Right, that was held up.
so
for
again, let's
months.
keep it
Months,
consistent,
yeah.
but not.
Months.
And you need the town administrator's signature.
That's not correct. I've met with the town administrator and this wouldn't be, this is coming, the application is coming from a nonprofit, a private. This is a combination of a nonprofit working within the town. This is not coming from Bob Rittenhour. This is not his application.
But
He
so
was-
is Friends of Bass River, and it went through the town administrator. Town
I
administrator-
think it part of it too, because it was on town, it was a project taking place on town property, which this also would be, right? You're
Well, we
looking
don't
at
know
town.
that.
property?
We don't even
Okay,
know
we
where
don't
it's gonna
know.
be.
The $100,000 would go would be to help us look at the most feasible sites, but I'll forward you the email chain that I've had with Bob Rittenhour as to whether or not he would like his signature on that application as to why.
I know,
he believes
yeah.
it's not appropriate for his signature to be on it.
If it's a 501c, I believe he doesn't have to have his signature on it. We did the cultural center, no town, it was a 501c, Quaker Meeting House. We don't have Bob's signature on that, do we?
But the result is gonna be a town project. That's why. it
We
needs a
don't
town-
know that it has to be. We can assume it's going to, but we don't know that it has to be.
Again, then.
But
the
who we giving
application
the
is
money to?
incomplete with respect to that point.
You know, they went through a lot of work to raise money for the cultural center so that they could reimburse. But they had the money before they came to us,
That's right.
and they were already a 501c. And that was a major project that went on for, what, 4 years? Different phases,
Anything.
but it went
Hmm.
well.
I just think it needs to be deferred. For as much time as they need to have a complete application.
Well, I think we're all agree that we need more. If you wanted to get the town on board, then get them on board. If you don't want to, I guess you don't have to. The
That would
town,
mean more work.
okay,
But it gives more support at town meeting.
certainly does.
No, I'm being facetious because honestly, I think I would like to make a motion to vote. Is that allowed by someone who's not on the?
I don't think you want us to vote. That would be a mistake.
Carolyn, I can see the frustration, and please know that the complicated process you've put yourself into is one that has boundaries on it that we can't move. And some of them include some of the things that Chairman Ellis has already mentioned. One, all of our proposals go to the Board of Selectmen. They also go to the Finance Committee. And I can guarantee you that the Finance Committee, seeing this application as it is right now, and even with the 501c3, perhaps, would most likely not receive a favorable vote. And if those two groups aren't in favor of our proposal that we put in front of them, it's going to die at town meeting. And we don't want this to die first time out of the block. We don't want that to happen. So what we're trying to help you with here is get the proposal in the best condition it can be for us to reconsider it. It needs to be strengthened. And it isn't just the legal thing about the 501c3. There are other things about it there. We need to know more about the financial wherewithal to move this forward, that this actually can be done. We need proof of that. So all of your fundraising activities, all of those things will come to bear and be very positive on a new proposal. But right now, your proposal is one that's got a life preserver on it because it doesn't meet the key hurdles that we need to make it happen for you. Our hands are tied in terms of how much we can do to help you. So I think what we're asking is for you to help us move this forward. And those legal things are important. The money and your establishment of fundraising and the like, the more money you've got in the bank, the better this project goes. Right now you have no money in the bank. You have a fiduciary sponsor, but you have no money in the bank. So those are the things, I think it's premature to, at this point, having listened to all of my colleagues here, sending it out of the block now and doing a vote on it, I think would not be a good decision or a recommendation on your part.
Well said. Okay, that being the case, you want to, well, I'm not even gonna say it, you don't want to force a vote on this because that's going to work to your negative, I'll tell you that. So we just hold the application open and you still have time. We still have other meetings. You can come back to us and keep us updated, work on the 501c, trying to get on board with other towns, getting other supporters. I would continue with that.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
And I would certainly, if you want the support of the selectmen, go to them and ask them to support this, that you're going to follow through with it. All of this is going to work in your favor. We don't want to go to town meeting because I agree with Joanne. I wouldn't bring this to the finance committee and go in front of them. And that would be my responsibility. I'm the one who has to do it, but they're looking for us to see that you've answered all our questions for us.
There's a public meeting December 18th in Brewster where Brewster is having a town meeting to review their financials. Christine, someone like you might be interested in going, but they will have the full profit and loss for the inaugural year that they just ran.
For the pool?
Correct. And it was our plan to, once we have access to those financials, to include those in communication as support. Honestly, I didn't know how complex this application needed to be. Just including the proposals by the architect and engineering firms and looking at, again, I was just focused on convincing this group of the feasibility study. We certainly haven't gotten to the point that any finance committee would be convinced of anything in terms of the operations.
Well, they would
of a
either
pool.
support it or not support it at town meeting.
The finance committee would look only at this proposal for a survey.
Correct.
They're not going to look down the road at the financial.
But they might, Joanne. We
They
don't
might,
know.
they certainly.
They're gonna
they've-
go,
they've been
okay,
known
well,
to
we
ask
go
lots of
ahead
questions.
with this. Where's the money
Yeah.
gonna come
That's
from?
something the capital budget
Yeah.
committee would be interested in as well.
So Joanne, you are so well spoken and every word that has come out of your mouth is truly sinking in with me, but I ask again the question for clarity. Outside of having the 501c3 established, are there any specifics that you could help me with to understand what would be appropriate to?
You need financial statements. Look at the list, the checklist of all the things you have to include with your, on the application. The letter of support, the signatures that you need. Those are all the things that you need.
Those have, I mean, so obviously
She's
the
got
letters
some
of,
of those.
those have been
Yeah.
provided. Obviously, the letters of support could, I mean, I could come up with a few more prominent figures in our community to have.
No, not community, town letters of support.
Okay, town
If-
letters.
if-
Usually on a town project, say we want a sign off from Jeff Colby saying that he'd be in support of this. The selectmen, if it had to do with conservation, we asked for it for the conservation commission. We don't even know if conservation commissions can be involved now because we don't have a site.
So. Again, I don't mean to be too emotional about this, but this is where there is there is a lot of frustration. Because I did go to multiple different departments, and that was what was recommended to me by Mike Stone back in July, was go to every department that you can, start talking about this idea with them. Don Marie, you remember,
Yeah,
this
Then
was
where's
like-
the letters of support?
well,
people are, the rec department right now, the rec department is
Too busy to write a
Mhm.
letter.
looking at basketball, and, you know, we gotta keep the Matikes pool gym open. It's Matic, I mean, it's other things in town that people know, I mean. So this is again, a new idea,
and
I
it takes-
understand
it
your
takes
frustration
time.
with that. We go
Takes
through it.
and it's like a stone wall, so it's hard whenever, like, we've gone to different departments and we've tried to allure them with like the idea of. Wouldn't this be, Bill Scott, wouldn't this be a really amazing thing for our town? He's, you know, telling us stories about growing up in Maine, swimming miles with his family. But, oh, you know, not so sure about the new idea.
Well, if I may, that's exactly what I was talking about. Because it seems like some folks come up with an idea. And then it's accepted by the town. Okay, we're gonna get involved. I'll use the splash pad again. Some other group comes in and has an idea. No, we're too busy because we want to keep the Matikes gym open for basketball. That's the lack of consistency, and that's the frustration that's presented to some groups like Carolyn's to get some big thing done, you know, to get brushed off. And that to me is concerning, because I don't think the town should operate that way.
No,
I think
sure.
that when these groups go to the town, that there should be a process where these ideas are brought before the recreation committee. It's thoroughly discussed, voted on, et cetera. Same thing with any of the administrative entities.
I think
Now-
that right now that process is primarily the capital budget process.
Well, then there it is.
And I think that, I think some of your earlier points are good, and I think we do need to integrate better with the process for CPC and capital budget.
Mhm.
You know, we have the sign off for a town project as part of the CPC application, but I can tell you the Phragmites project, the town wastewater, they all went through capital budget as well.
So this one can go through capital budget as well.
It needs a town sponsor to go through capital budget.
And what's the
This is
problem
part
with?
of the conversations with the Bill Scott, the assistant town administrator. So that's why I think, you know, Karen, and I appreciate Carolyn, you know, you're pitching this all over, trying to find someone to help, but I do think that staff, there's a number of projects in town, and staff, you know, very seriously have workloads that they're already doing. And if you are gonna add to that workload, then it needs to come through the process, and it needs to come
Absolutely,
from the board down to the town administrator and down to the staff.
absolutely. I just don't, I think sometimes people get the feeling that some things are blown off. But some things that come from a select person are not, you know, i.e. the flash pad or something
But
like
with
that.
this, like with the splash pad, what we were saying is it was part of the select board's goal setting process. So it wasn't just one select person calling up staff person saying, hey, let's get this done.
Mhm.
It came through the process, of goal setting,
Yeah,
where the entire board came to agreement.
If you remember the exact process, the thing is, it goes through their goals. It was decided to go to town meeting, we voted the money, and then you hear from Jeff that they don't give him staff to do it. So me and Christine went to the town administrator and go, why would we vote money for anything? You guys should look and make sure that you have the staff to do this, which brings us back to where we are now. Yes, if there's no staff to do it, then we shouldn't be tying up the money. A lot of the money we give are to private sector things, and we give them the money, they will have the shovel in the ground and be going tomorrow.
I did the library in 4 months.
Yeah, we always hear that. Well, a lot of them have. The cultural center started the month we gave them the money, and they had the money to reimburse. They were a 501c. It was always clear to begin with, and Bob Nash went through the same frustrations that you're going through,
I think
but it got done.
capital budget has so many things on their list. What you see presented to town meeting is the dozen items
That
that are
That made
being
it.
approved this year. That doesn't mean that there aren't 3 dozen items that'll be coming up, we need a fire truck, we need a police car, or something else, you're in competition with many projects.
well, help me to understand though. So there's town projects and there's private projects, right? So if this idea of a pool or any idea like it in the future came to this committee as a private project with all the i's dotted and t's crossed, then it would be accepted, it wouldn't have to be signed off by the town, wouldn't go on the capital budget.
Except if it was gonna be on town property.
Okay, all right, but if all the other items were covered, if all.
That's what I was saying. If it was completely free of the town, you wouldn't have to do this.
But if it was a private pool, would it be eligible for CPC funding?
Yes, we did the cultural center. That's what I'm just telling you.
Well, it's-
C3.
But they own the property.
Yeah.
There was
But
nothing to do,
it's a public, I mean.
it was nothing to do with the town of Yarmouth except
Right.
us.
Right. But if you have a private membership organization, can it be funded with CPC?
If it's
In my opinion, it could.
I mean, we'd have to invest, we'd have to really vet that.
Has to be a 501c.
And what if, for example, 2 towns, 3 towns were involved and this thing was gonna go in Dennis, right? Then the town of Yarmouth wouldn't have to worry about anything other than saying, this benefits our general community and here's the money that we voted, correct?
Correct.
That's
I
how the
think-
forward, the.
Oh, yeah, things like,
Yeah.
forward
Yep.
house.
yeah,
Yes.
the theater and all the other things.
Yeah,
But that
But
comes
if
back.
it lands in the town of Yarmouth,
Easier.
then there's the involvement of maybe it going on town land, and so that would put it into that little bit of a different category.
Right.
And if it was on town land, let's say over where, next to the splash pad, there might be some complications in terms of that. But if all of the money was coming, other than some CPC requests from, let's say, Yarmouth and Dennis, there would be fewer problems than expecting the town of Yarmouth to pick up the whole bill.
And I don't know how the, agreement would be worked out between the towns as far as maintenance, like we run into with the school district.
Well,
Well, it still
it's
comes
something
back
that
to
gets
who is the
negotiated.
applicant?
Mhm.
Who is
Right.
the applicant?
well, the good thing about this is we learn a lot about our own process.
Yeah. It's, yeah. It's not a cut and dried, application or proposal, so. We can just keep working through it.
If you didn't have to go through the town of Yarmouth, then
Yep.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
easier. So that means you go acquire the property,
No, it means we go to Dennis,
could go to Dennis,
Mhm.
but you'd have to go through the same process down there.
right?
The selectmen aren't gonna let you put a pool on town property in Dennis without their approval.
But they, oh, never mind. It's fine.
They,
We're coming around in a.
we are, but we ultimately, I don't think we feel it's ready, and we don't want to kill it either.
We don't think it's ready.
So is there anybody who disagrees with that, who thinks we want to make a motion and vote on it today?
I wouldn't think.
If anybody wants to do that, make the motion.
No.
So
Okay.
we're holding the application open. I'm sure if you have questions as you go along as to what you should be getting, speak with Don, who'll relay it to all of us.
I still.
Are you gonna get,
Definitely keep us posted on the status of the 501c3.
Right.
I think if you
And the-
can reach out to the other towns and there's like a partnership kind of in the forming, that might be something that folks would be interested in.
We want to stay, I mean, the whole idea was that we happen to be the two, like. Myself and one other individual, we happen to be Yarmouth residents. This whole, just to give you some context of the idea of this whole. The idea in the first place started way back in January when we looked to pitch a youth swim team to the town of Brewster. And the pool that's the town of Brewster, right? And they basically said, you're not a taxpayer here. Head west. So then that's when we started, we did again, take the pause and we kind of critically started analyzing, why would we want to drive 20 minutes anyhow? Is there a need for this? And anyways, now I'm going off on a tangent to give you just the story of.
No, and I understand that you want, it's just, you
But
could
we're
put out
not looking to
what
keep-
other things you could do, so I
Right.
just.
No, so I
Right.
would keep you privy, but that wasn't necessarily. That was what we're getting further to thinking of the construction costs and being mindful of what Yarmouth does have in its budget that perhaps. Working with more than one could be relevant, but. You want to pay more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. Jeff,
But, yeah.
why are you?
Staff updates.
So it's Taylor.
Okay. I'll say you're not welcome.
Okay.
I'm sure you didn't premature for you to get involved in that. Okay, so that's it. That's all we have for you right now. The application's still open. You can come back at our next meeting or whenever you would like.
Is it posted online, the meeting?
When is
Yeah,
our
we
next
don't
one?
have one scheduled at the moment, but next week, where are we?
Week
Next
two.
week is, right, next week is the 15th. It's today. Today's the 8th. The 15th and the 22nd. This is the Thanksgiving. That might be hard
Right,
for
that-
people if anybody's traveling. Or the 29th. I mean, we ideally like to have that appraisal for,
Yeah, you won't, I don't imagine you'll have that appraisal. For next week, he had told me 4 weeks. And I think it's probably back here, so. That might be your best bet.
the 29th, because that's one that we need to vote on. And that's what we need in order to vote. So you think November 29th for the next meeting?
We can let you, if we happen to get the appraisal before that.
No, I think
Mhm.
we'd go with it.
Absolutely let
I
me
think
know.
we'd go with the 29th.
That's a good day because the opening finally is at 5 to 6.
Well, it's convenient for anybody who needs to vote.
Yep.
Meet and then go downstairs and vote. For Old Kings Island.
All right, so the next meeting will be November 29th.
Anybody know at this point that they have a problem with it?
I'm good.
No, I don't think so.
I'll say,
Okay, so it'll be the 29th.
Yep.
Carolyn, I don't know if this agenda is set up too. The other thing you can do is on the website, there's e-alerts and you can sign up to get agendas for any committee you want. And then you
Yeah.
just put your information. Oh, it's not
I
working.
haven't had a notice in a month or two.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take that. Never mind.
Getting them.
It was a good idea.
You're getting them?
Yeah.
I got news alerts.
I went
I
down
got
a
the
week
news
ago,
alerts,
week
but-
ago, and I gave them my email and everything, and they said, I'm signed up for all these things and I'm getting nothing.
I get
That's it.
You get them. Maybe I'll just delete
I
everything.
didn't even
and
sign
go
up
back
for
to
it.
the-
They just put me on it.
I'd hate for you to have to set up a new.
I don't know. That's my problem.
Oh, I guess the
Right.
one other comment quickly, Lee, I just wanted to address, last meeting, you had an opinion about like the actual name. We're certainly not committed to it, and we have reached out to the
Oh, yes,
to
yeah.
the chair of the tribe, just to kind
Yes,
of
good.
investigate what his opinions, you know, I don't know if he represents I think it's difficult to have one person represent an entire group, but,
Well, they usually bring things back to committee,
right, just.
but there is concern with appropriation, and so I think it was a valid concern on my part. People kind of claiming Native American things, so.
Just the name First Light, yeah, inherent. So
And
we're-
what was your response that you got?
I haven't yet connected with them, but I just wanted to let you know to make sure. Hopefully by November 29th, I'd have an update, but we're happy to change. That was.
Well, it's
So-
my reaction, because I have connections with friends in the tribe,
That,
and I know there's been deep concerns about
yeah.
this-
No, it's.
these issues, so.
Yeah.
Thank you for hearing me.
No,
So-
of course.
At this point, I didn't realize Jeff was here for something like that.
Oh,
Just for-
Come on.
It's already packed and ready to go.
This will be a much simpler. Thank you for hearing this.
Do I have to pull
If
an
this is the right.
application or something?
Yep.
Okay.
Wasn't on the agenda, that's why I didn't say it.
It's, yeah, just a staff update.
I'm here on, as requested by the Capital Budget Committee to talk about the Taylor Gray Farm cottage roof. It's not an application that we submitted because, frankly, I felt like this was more maintenance. It's replacing a, wooden shingle roof that, has shingles that are regularly falling off of it, with a wooden shingle roof. So that's, what's that?
Don't
And don't walk on top or you'll slide right
I
off.
noticed it when I drove by it a couple of weeks ago. That
And,
is,
and that was after the
That's
first
done.
repair, right?
that's
So
done.
we know that it's been deteriorating in recent years, but in July, the insurance company said they will not continue our insurance unless we repaired it. So we repaired it and there's as many shingles off today as there was in July. So it needs to be done. And when I presented this to capital budget with, along with all the other requests that DPW has, they certainly see the need for it, but they say, hey, why isn't this a CPC request? And so I'm here to talk with you about what your thoughts might be about this as a request. If
Well,
you
this
think,
isn't the answer, but the answer would be it's maintenance. But maybe it isn't.
Right.
So go ahead.
so my feeling is it was maintenance, but they asked me to ask you specifically.
How old
They
is
didn't
it?
want to take my word for it.
2012.
2012.
2012.
I looked it up.
It's failing.
That's when
The roof
that's
is
when the
failing
alert was.
prematurely because of the use of staples versus stainless steel nails.
They should always use stainless.
You
Absolutely
mean the roof was repaired, replaced in two thousand
completely
twelve?
replaced in 2012.
And it's deteriorated because of how it was
The type of
installed?
fasteners, that's correct.
And who
Would
did-
also tell you something else that you can get the red cedars pressure treated and they'll last an extra 10 years.
Hmm.
At
It's
least.
good to know.
So who put the roof on?
I don't know who the contractor
So there
was.
was no warranty on this roof?
I think they actually.
If there was a
Yeah,
warranty, it would
we funded
be
it in
well
2012.
past that. In 2012 is more than 10 years ago,
It's
but
past
actually it's
10 years.
only, yeah.
So we, we had this conversation last week because you had discussed it too relative, I think, to the Phragmites.
And what is the age of the building?
I just looked this up because I was wondering if it was a historic building. The card at the building department says 1920.
So it's more than
Sorry.
70.
So it's historic and it's more than 10 years, which we've used as a guideline for maintenance,
It's a replacement, not a repair.
Right.
right?
That's really unfortunate.
It is absolutely,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Geez,
Done improperly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they have,
Was that an issue with the specs? Did we call for?
I
that kind of fastener?
Don't know what the details of that were. I wasn't here at that time, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure how it was procured and what specifications were used, or if somebody just got a quote and went and did it, and I don't know.
I think it was my house. I'd be going back to the contractor, you know.
well, if you didn't spec out the stainless, gonna be his answer, well, you didn't tell me.
Wasn't in my quote or something, yeah.
Well, I think I still have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you
With a
could,
historic building and wooden slates for the roof.
Pardon?
You,
With the cedar
you would see the shingles, not asphalt.
Right, they won't let us use asphalt there, right?
Yeah, because it's a
Historic.
historic building.
We asked Build Kings Highway for asphalt.
Right, we were gonna do it in-house with asphalt, and they said no.
Yeah.
no,
We have to go outside, and that's why we have a proper quote for this. All the documentation was there for the capital budget committee to review. Again, they had no concerns about this needing to be done. It's just a matter of, is there a way to pay for it where they can preserve funds for other town projects?
And what is your estimate?
$40,000.
Wow.
The quote we got was 36,000 and
That's
you know,
what I
like
did
a
with the Bank
4,000
Howard.
contingency.
Banks Howard House was
And
40,000.
it's not something we can do in-house with our staff. It's a much more complicated roof when it's wooden.
Well, then,
so is it on, seeing it failed once before, is it on space boards or is it on cedar breather? Do you know?
We don't know that. It will be when we replace it. We don't know what it is now.
You're gonna put the cedar breather in?
It'll be done properly, yes.
Well, what one guy calls properly and I call properly might be two different things. But anyways, how do we wanna handle this? Say, as far as maintenance, I think we can justify that barrier because we've gone by 10 years.
Say that one more time.
I would say I'd be in favor of a late application.
Anything that goes beyond 10 years, consider it new versus maintenance. If it's within a 10-year period, and we just, you know, the state kind of use that number, and that's where we.
I see, I see.
Just don't hire the same contractor.
Oh, we won't, yeah. They're probably not even in business anymore.
Probably not.
Not if they did it that way.
Right,
That's
right.
really unacceptable.
I would be in favor of an application, a late application, because it looks like we're gonna have a couple that might not come forward.
Yeah, I
Get
would,
it in for our next meeting.
I'm sure we can. We have all.
as he says, if you don't replace the roof, we went through this with John Simpkins. If you don't do the roof,
Sure, you can.
then you're gonna lose the whole building. I remember Mr. Robertson at town meeting saying, yeah,
Oh.
I go, what, and my comment was, well, if you had an old Mercedes and the roof was leaking, would you buy a blue tarp and put it over?
I was suggesting the town be, I know I'm speaking out of turn. Proper process, but that was a suggestion at town meeting to put a top on them.
Yes,
Rather than do the work.
after I presented.
It sounds to me, based, you know,
What?
Very
Never
patient.
never forget it.
No problem. If you want to see what we submitted with capital budget, I brought a couple of copies and you can have those.
This
So-
is
We
the
can
building
send
that
that
the
out
Black
to you
Lamb was in. This is,
Was there a lamb in this building? Was there a lamb in this
this
building?
is the building that had the Black Lamb. in it.
There
Yeah,
was a
not
lamb
sure.
there.
Not-
It
not
was
my-
the lamb that was rejected by the mother,
Oh,
so he needed special care.
okay.
so I'm just reading from.
It's an animal hospital. I didn't know.
Preservation Coalition here, and CPA funds may be spent on the acquisition, preservation, rehabilitation, or restoration.
And
So I think we're covered.
I think we're good,
I think we're covered.
but we can't.
Rehab,
fund-
restoration.
The gray area says we can't fund maintenance.
Yeah, but I like all the Rs.
It's definitely-
Rehabilitation, restoration, and P, preservation.
It meets all of them.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm comfortable.
would we vote on accepting a late application?
Yeah, so
I
can Jeff
think you
put one
should.
together
I think
for
you should.
our next meeting?
Yeah.
Is that what we-
Yes, we'll have it for your next meeting if it's acceptable.
Do you want to vote on that, Gary?
I
I
think,
make the motion, how do I word it?
let Lee's gonna make a motion.
I make the motion to accept the late application for the Taylor Bray Farm roof replacement.
Okay, motion by Lee. Do I hear a second? George,
Could we
Hey.
have discussion before?
we can have a.
This, it's really a question. Do we have any information? I would really be interested if it's, if it can be happen to know who the contractor was on the replacement in 2012.
Yeah.
I'll approve
The building file, Mark will have something on it.
Just
Okay,
get the
thank you.
town administrator's signature.
Okay. I will.
I don't,
Say, what did you say?
You get the town
Forward.
administrator's signature.
He's actually already recommended this to capital. Budget, so it'll be-
Yeah.
And when, I'm sorry, but when a job like that is given to a contractor, is there someone in the town who reviews how they're going to, what materials they're gonna use to put on the roof? In other words, was there somebody told that we're gonna put the roof on and we're gonna staple it on?
That's what we don't know.
We don't know
Okay,
that, yeah.
all right.
We don't know from
Yeah.
2012, but going forward, Jeff's
Yeah, now I know,
Yeah.
sure.
will be very prescriptive.
All we're gonna
how to
do
work.
is vote on accepting the application late. So I would look into, to obviously make sure when you're getting quotes, the stainless steel staples, and ask how much more for pressure treated
Yeah,
red
red-
cedar
Red cedar.
Stainless steel staples or stainless steel nails?
staples.
Staples?
I don't think anybody uses nails anymore.
I have some in my garage.
I think we're all getting a little.
All right, so anything else on the motion? But the motion by Lee, seconded by George, to accept the application, you'll prepare that and get us to us for the 29th, right, Jeff?
Absolutely.
Did we vote?
No, we're going to now. Don't rush me. Judy, did you hear our
Aye.
conversation?
I have been listening intently with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, keeping me occupied. I say aye.
Okay, thanks. Mary Ann?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Christine?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Lee?
I
Gary? Aye.
just have a question after the fact. You're in the historic committee, right? Historical mission. Did they have any input when the historical work is done to an historic?
It should be a letter of recommendation.
Yeah, but this is a structure that's north of 6A, so Old Kings Highway.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Would you like something from them?
And we won't be able to get through Old Kings Highway by the 29th.
But
No, but-
they've reviewed it and said we need to do shingles, wooden shingles. So even if it was an email saying, right, it doesn't need their,
No, my question is,
Can be attached.
is there a way for them to have impact in how it's done, which maybe is not what
No,
we've
we
done
don't
in
want
two
that.
thousand and twelve? No, okay.
No, they don't know a nail from a staple. Oh, that's on tape. I have to go before them all the time.
I take it all back.
So,
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
all set to adjourn, right?
Yep.
Okay, motion by George, seconded by Mary Ann. In favor, Judy?
Aye.
The kids say.
I,
Mary Ann? Paul?
Aye.
Christine?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Lee?
I.
Joanne? Okay, aye.
all right, thank you very much.